Ever feel like you're walking around with like pockets full of Monopoly money? Like so much that it could like warp reality itself? Kind of like how it must felt to be Mansa Musa,
Ah, Mansa Musa.
14th century ruler of the Malian Empire.
Yeah.
A king so rich that just like his casual spending
Oh, yeah.
could send entire economies into a tailspin.
It's really a fascinating story. Not
Okay.
just about the riches, but a journey through, ambition, faith,
Yeah.
the consequences of power on like a global scale.
Yeah, and today we're diving deep into Mansa Musa's legendary pilgrimage to Mecca.
Oh, a journey that would solidify his reign, but also really introduce the world to the might of the Malian Empire.
For sure, for sure.
And it really is a story that speaks to, our fascination with wealth and power.
Yeah.
But it also makes you think about the interplay of economics,
Oh, for sure.
religion, and human ambition.
Yeah. So how did this king even ascend to such a position of power?
Well, it's a story worthy of an epic poem. Mansa Musa wasn't actually the first in line for the throne.
Oh.
His predecessor, driven by a burning desire to discover the edge of the Atlantic Ocean,
Yeah.
embarked on a voyage that would seal his fate.
Wow.
This sultan was convinced that the ocean held like secrets beyond human comprehension
Right.
and assembled a fleet of 200 ships.
Wow. 200 ships.
Laden with gold, provisions,
Yeah.
enough men to conquer, unknown lands.
Wow, that's a bold move.
Yeah, some might say reckless undertaking.
Yeah, and it gets even wilder. Only one ship from that massive fleet came back.
Just limped back home.
Crew claiming the rest had sailed on without them.
Yeah, and the sultan undeterred,
Oh, wow.
perhaps a touch obsessed,
Yeah.
doubled down,
Oh, wow.
outfitted an even larger fleet this time.
Wow.
2,000 ships,
Why?
and set sail himself,
Wow.
leaving the young Mansa Musa as a stand-in ruler.
Wow, the weight of that responsibility.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Thrust upon someone so unexpectedly?
Talk about a trial by fire.
Yeah.
And as you might have guessed, the Sultan, he never returned.
Vanished without a trace.
Poof. Gone. Just like that, Mansa Musa found himself at the helm of an empire.
Yeah. And it's no surprise that this unexpected turn of events fueled a desire to solidify his claim to the throne.
Absolutely. And that brings us to his legendary Hajj.
Oh, yes. The pilgrimage to Mecca.
Every able-bodied Muslim is expected to undertake once in their lifetime.
Right.
But Mansa Musa didn't just travel.
Oh, no.
He traveled in a style that would make even the most lavish modern-day spectacle pale in comparison.
So we're talking
yeah.
lavish.
Lavish.
We're talking over the top.
Picture this, a caravan stretching as far as the eye can see.
Oh, wow.
60,000 people,
Okay.
including soldiers, courtiers, and scholars,
Wow.
all accompanying the king.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, 80 camels,
Okay.
each burdened with so much gold.
I can't even fathom.
That's hard to even fathom.
Yeah.
And 500 enslaved people, each carrying a staff
A staff.
made of solid gold.
Oh, my goodness.
It was a display of wealth and power designed to awe and intimidate.
Yeah, this wasn't just about, fulfilling a religious obligation. This was about announcing Mali's arrival as like a force to be reckoned with on the world stage.
Absolutely. And while the sheer extravagance of the Hajj is captivating, Mansa Musa was also a shrewd strategist.
Okay.
This journey wasn't just for show.
Mm-hmm.
It was a calculated move to secure his throne,
Okay.
expand his influence, and spread the Islamic faith.
Right, so that's where the gold comes in.
Okay.
It wasn't just for dazzling onlookers.
Yeah.
He strategically used it to fund the construction of mosques along his route,
Oh, wow.
fostering the growth of Islam and stimulating economic activity in the regions he traveled through.
So like a calculated investment in soft power.
Exactly. He was building relationships, establishing a network of influence through faith and economic development.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
It's a fascinating example of how wealth can be used to achieve both spiritual and political goals.
All right.
But as we'll see, even the most carefully laid plans can have unintended consequences.
Okay, so when Mansa Musa's caravan reached Cairo,
Oh, yeah.
his lavish spending and seemingly endless reserves of gold
Oh, yeah.
created quite a stir.
People were dazzled by his generosity.
Yeah.
Showering gifts on those he encountered.
Yeah.
Spending sprees.
I know, right?
That would make even the most seasoned shopaholic blush.
Yeah, but there's a hidden danger
Yeah.
in such extravagant displays of wealth.
You can't just inject a massive amount of gold into an economy without causing
Ripples.
ripples, or in this case, a tsunami.
Oh, no.
Yeah, his gold-fueled generosity triggered a wave of inflation.
Oh, wow.
It took Cairo a decade to recover from.
A decade.
It's a cautionary tale about the delicate balance of economics and how even good intentions can have unforeseen consequences.
So from stand-in ruler to like a global spectacle,
Yeah.
Mansa Musa's journey is full of twists and turns.
It really is.
But this is just the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Stay with us as we continue our deep dive into the life of a king who quite literally put his empire on the map.
Absolutely. Welcome back to our deep dive into the life and times of Mansa Musa.
We've journeyed with him from his unexpected rise to power.
Yeah, to the dazzling heights of his extravagant pilgrimage to Mecca.
Absolutely. And we saw how his journey wasn't just about personal piety, but a calculated display of wealth and power.
Right, designed to solidify his rule.
And put Mali on the global map.
Absolutely. But as we dig deeper into his story, we need to remember that history is rarely a simple tale of heroes and villains.
Right.
Mansa Musa, for all his accomplishments, was a product of his time and his reign.
Yeah.
Like many powerful rulers, was marked by complexities and contradictions.
We touched upon the sheer scale of his caravan.
Right. Thousands of people.
Thousands of people accompanying him.
On this journey, but among those travelers were enslaved individuals, forced to support his pilgrimage.
It's estimated that thousands of people were captured and enslaved specifically to serve in his caravan.
Yeah, carrying his gold.
Wow.
Tending to his needs, essentially fueling the spectacle that was his harsh.
It's a stark reminder that even a ruler celebrated for his piety and generosity was deeply embedded in a system that relied on the exploitation and suffering of others.
It's a difficult truth about the past.
Yeah.
And we have to recognize that even the most celebrated figures were often complicit in systems that we would condemn today.
Right. It's not about erasing or glorifying his accomplishments, but understanding him within the context of his time.
Right.
Acknowledging both his achievements and the ethical complexities.
Yeah, and this nuanced perspective extends to another aspect of his story that deserves closer examination, the source of his legendary wealth.
We've all heard tales of mythical gold plants and mountains of treasure.
Right, but the reality was far more complex, and in some ways, more troubling.
While trade certainly played a role in Mali's prosperity, a large portion of Mansa Musa's wealth came from his control over the trans-Saharan gold trade.
Right, and control in this context often meant exploitation on a massive scale.
Think about the labor required to extract those vast quantities of gold.
Yeah, countless miners toiling in dangerous conditions.
Yeah.
Their lives dedicated to fueling the wealth and ambition of their ruler.
Wow, the very gold that financed his magnificent mosques and secured his place in history came at a human cost.
Right, a cost that we can't ignore.
Yeah, it raises those critical questions about the relationship between wealth, power, and exploitation.
Absolutely. Questions that resonate even today as we grapple with economic inequality and social justice.
And as we delve into these deeper layers of Mansa Musa's story, it's important to remember that our primary sources of information,
the accounts passed down through generations.
By griots,
those keepers of West African history and tradition, they played a vital role in preserving knowledge. And weaving captivating narratives. But their accounts often focused on the heroic deeds and accomplishments of their subjects. Downplaying or omitting less savory aspects.
We might be left with a somewhat romanticized view of Mansa Musa. A view that emphasizes his generosity and piety while neglecting the darker realities of his reign.
It's like piecing together a puzzle with missing pieces. We get a sense of the overall picture. But certain details remain obscured, perhaps intentionally.
That's why it's so crucial to approach these historical accounts with a discerning eye. Recognizing that they're not always objective or comprehensive.
We need to search for alternative sources of information. Corroborating evidence and diverse perspectives to create a more balanced and nuanced understanding of this complex figure.
Absolutely. And part of that nuanced understanding involves exploring how Mansa Musa is remembered within Mali itself.
How do those whose ancestors lived under his rule perceive his legacy?
Is he viewed as a hero, a symbol of a golden age? Or is his memory tainted by the knowledge of the exploitation and suffering that fueled his rise to power?
It's fascinating to note that even within Mali,
Yeah.
There are differing perspectives.
Right.
Some see him as a national icon,
Yeah.
a testament to the strength and cultural vibrancy of their history.
Right, but others view his legacy with a more critical lens.
Acknowledging the darker side of his reign,
right,
and questioning the true cost of his achievements.
It's a really interesting debate.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of history, isn't it? It's not a fixed narrative set in stone.
Right.
It's an ongoing conversation,
Yeah.
a dialogue between the past and the present.
For sure.
Constantly evolving as new evidence emerges.
Right.
And new perspectives are brought to light.
Yeah, Mansa Musa's story isn't just about gold and grandeur. It's about the human complexities of power, the ethical dilemmas inherent in empire building.
Yeah.
And the lasting impact of one man's ambition on the course of history.
As we move toward the final part of our deep dive, what resonates most with you about Mansa Musa's story so far?
That's a good question. For me, it's the realization that history is rarely black and white. Even those figures we celebrate as heroes are often flawed.
Yeah.
And their achievements come at a cost.
That's a valuable insight.
Yeah.
It encourages us to approach history with curiosity and critical thinking.
Yeah.
Recognizing that there's always more to the story than meets the eye.
And in Mansa Musa's case, that story is full of twists and turns.
Yeah.
Prompting us to ask difficult questions.
Right.
And to confront the complexities of the past.
In the final part of our deep dive, we'll explore those complexities even further.
Yeah.
Examining how Mansa Musa's legacy continues to resonate today.
Okay, so stay with us as we continue to unravel the fascinating and multifaceted legacy of Mansa Musa. Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of Mansa Musa. We've journeyed with him from his unexpected rise to power, through the opulence of his pilgrimage and into the complex realities of his reign.
Absolutely.
Now let's shift our focus.
Okay.
And explore how this 14th century African king's story surprisingly resonates with the issues that we grapple with in the 21st century.
I think it's fascinating how much it still resonates.
It might seem like a stretch, but Mansa Musa's tale has a lot to teach us about contemporary concerns.
Oh, for sure.
Especially when it comes to wealth inequality.
You're absolutely right. When we talk about Mansa Musa being the richest person in history, it shouldn't be just a fleeting trivia fact. You know, it makes you think about the immense disparities in wealth that exist globally. And even within our own societies.
It makes you question the very systems that allow such extreme concentrations of wealth to accumulate in the hands of so few.
Definitely remember Mansa Musa's fortune. It wasn't built solely on trade. It was a result of controlling resources like gold and salt. And unfortunately, through the exploitation of labor.
And those same dynamics, while perhaps not as overt, are still kind of woven into the fabric of our globalized economy.
That's a crucial point. Mansa Musa's story is a reminder that to achieve true economic justice, we need to go beyond those like superficial solutions.
Absolutely.
We need to examine the roots of wealth, you know, understand how it's generated, and work towards a fair distribution of resources.
I think his story also challenges us to rethink our approach to history itself.
Oh, yeah.
Particularly when it comes to the narrative surrounding Africa.
Right. For far too long, the narrative of African history has been shaped by Western perspectives, often fixated on like colonialism and conflict.
But figures like Mansa Musa, they shatter that narrow lens. They remind us that Africa boasts a rich and multi-layered history that stretches far beyond those often told tales.
Exactly. His story really highlights the sophistication and power of those pre-colonial African empires, urging us to seek out, you know, diverse perspectives and challenge any of those like lingering Eurocentric views of the past.
Imagine if Mansa Musa's story was as widely known and celebrated as like Alexander the Great. Or Julius Caesar.
It would undoubtedly revolutionize our understanding of history. And really illuminate Africa's rightful place on the world stage.
Absolutely. Mansa Musa's journey to Mecca wasn't just about personal faith. It was also a great example of early cultural exchange and global interconnectedness.
Yeah, even back in the 14th century.
It was carefully orchestrated.
Oh, yeah. A diplomatic mission.
Yeah, a chance to forge alliances with other Muslim leaders. Expand his influence across continents. Through those connections. He brought back knowledge, innovative ideas, and esteemed scholars.
Enriching Mali's intellectual and cultural landscape.
It's a reminder that our world has always been interconnected. Embracing diversity, fostering exchange.
Sharing knowledge.
These are paths to progress.
Absolutely, just as Mansa Musa demonstrated all those centuries ago.
So as we conclude our deep dive into Mansa Musa's world, what can we as individuals take away from his extraordinary story?
It's a call to action for me.
Okay.
To be more discerning consumers of history.
Yeah.
To actively seek out those diverse perspectives.
Right.
And to challenge the narratives that perpetuate inequality or erase entire cultures.
It's also a reminder that we all have a shared responsibility to address wealth disparities.
For sure.
And to work towards a more just and equitable world for everyone.
I completely agree.
And maybe most importantly,
yeah,
it's an invitation to embrace curiosity,
to
delve into the richness and complexity of our collective human history.
Because sometimes the most unexpected stories hold the most profound lessons.
Absolutely. We hope you enjoyed this journey through time.
Yeah.
Until next time.
Keep exploring.
Keep questioning.
And keep learning. Yeah.